Hi guys, it's Mrs. Burke. We're back for lesson 3, and this week we get to draw together even while we're apart. Last week we got to make art folders and fun art pencils as we start to fill out our work from home desks and art stations. And this week I thought we would continue that a little bit, and I'm going to give you instructions for 2 different projects. The first project we're going to make is this. This is an earbud holder. I don't know about you, but my earbuds end up in a tangled mess, and I spend so much time untangling them or trying to figure out where I left them or figuring out if they're my earbuds or my husband's earbuds or my kids' earbuds. And so we're gonna each make our own little set of earbud holders. They're so fun. Look at this. They have a flap to keep closed, and guess what they're made out of? Trash again. Last week we made folders out of cereal boxes, and this week we're gonna make earbud holders out of a box from your pantry. So this will be our first project. And then for our bonus project this week, we're gonna make a place to keep all of our pens and pencils and scissors and rulers. And remember when we made these last week? Place to keep our fun pencils. So we're gonna make another place for our workstation. So you'll have a folder, you'll have a place for your earbuds, and then a place for your pens and your pencils and your rulers and your markers and all the things. So let's get started. Let's talk about our materials. This week you're gonna need something made out of cardboard. A cereal box. I really like a mac and cheese box or a box of cake mix. Something that's a little bit thinner than a big cereal box. I made mine out of a big Cheerios box, and it was a little thick and hard to work with. But these that are a little squishier and a little thinner, something like this. So you'll need some sort of cardboard box. A mac and cheese box works awesome if you have that. You'll also need your scissors and your glue stick, some tape, and then a Sharpie and some markers. So grab your box of markers. Let's talk about those supplies again, and I'll have you press pause while you go get all of your supplies. So some sort of cardboard box. Always ask a grown-up's permission before you take a box out of the pantry or out of the trash. Scissors, glue, tape, Sharpie, and then markers or crayons or colored pencils, but I think I really like markers for this one. Okay, go press pause and then come back and we'll work on this project together. Okay, here we go. So you should have all of your supplies nearby, and I'm going to use this mac and cheese box. And for the main piece of our earbud holders, we're going to cut out a shape that looks like this. It's kind of like a rectangle with a rainbow on the top. And this piece is about, if I were to take my ruler, actually you can pause if you want and go get your ruler if you like to use rulers, but you don't have to for this project. From this end all the way down to the bottom is about 6 inches long for the whole piece. Now, if you don't want to use your ruler, you can say, it needs to be about as big as my hand, or you can measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something around that size. What I'm going to do with my mac and cheese box is I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to set it on top of my mac and cheese box, and with my Sharpie on this part, because it doesn't matter, I'm just going to make a mark where the 6 is, because I want my earbud holder to be about 6 inches long. And then let's see how wide it is. It's about as wide as 4 of my fingers. Or if I use my ruler, it's about 1, 2, 3. See where that almost hits the 3? It's about 3 inches wide. So I'm going to look at my ruler here, and this is a great project because it doesn't have to be perfect. It's not like math. I'm going to say, just right in the inside of the edge of this box, it's going to be about 3 inches wide. So So I'm going to cut a rectangle. I'm just going to cut the edge off of my box over here. See, I don't even have to cut a straight line. And then I'm going to see, okay, so that's where my 6 inches is. I'm going to cut right there. And then I'm going to cut right back up about like that. Is that perfect? No, but it's perfect for what we need. Show you how to do that with a cake box. So if I want this to be about 3 inches wide, I'm going to say, that's about as wide as my 3 fingers, maybe a little bit more. And then I'm going to go down about 6 inches. There's lots of ways you can measure inches. You can take your thumb and press it down, or you can take 2 fingers and go that way. Doesn't really matter that much. I'm going to cut my flap off here, and I'm going to use my ruler again. And I'm going to say, let's go down, let's count together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to put a line there. And we said that it was going to be about 3 inches. So I'm going to start cutting on this red line, and I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3 inches. And I'm going to say it'll be right about that wide. So I take my scissors, and I'm just going to cut down the middle of my cake mix box. And then where I have that little line right there, I'm going to cut over to the edge of my box. Then I'm going to come over to this side, and I'm going to cut over like that. Okay? So a piece about that size. About the size of my hand, lengthwise, and really about as wide as my hand this way. Okay, now we got to add that little nose. We're going to use our fingers again for that nose. At the top of one of the edges, I want you to take your hand that you don't write with. So I don't write with my left hand. That's not the hand I write my name with, because I'm going to want to use my writing hand to make a mark. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to make my mark on this side, because this side is going to be on the inside and we're not going to see the marks at all. I'm going to take my 2 fingers and put them on the edge, and I'm going to draw a line, not perfect, right where my 2 fingers hit. Then I'm going to turn it this way, and I'm going to stick my 2 fingers in the middle, and I'm going to draw a line on one side of them, and I'm going to draw a line on the other side of them. So what that gives me is 3 boxes at the bottom of my cardboard. And I'm going to cut out this box and this box. And I'm going to leave this one attached, because that piece is going to become our little tab that's going to tuck in our flap to keep our earbuds safe. So I'm going to take my scissors, and I'm going to cut along that line, cut up to there, cut up to here. Didn't cut all the way. Do it again a little bit better. It's okay if you cut into it a little bit. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to cut along that line up to there. And remember, I always like to keep my scissors pointing away from me. Okay. So now I have something that looks like this. Now, I think that this little tab works better if it has a pointy end or kind of a smile-shaped end. You can make it whichever way you want. Because this one is a smile shape, I think I'm going to make this one more of a triangular shape. So I'm going to flip it over again. And with my Sharpie, I'm going to put a dot in the middle. And then I'm just going to draw a V that goes to that dot. I'll take my scissors, trim it off. Once again, you see how I flipped my paper over so my scissors are going away from me? That helps me to be a better cutter. So now I have 2 different options for my earbud holders. I have a round one and I have a triangular one. Now it bears saying right here, I'm going pretty fast. I know that. And so anytime that we're creating, if you need to pause, just press pause on your video, and you can even rewind and watch the steps again, That's kind of a fun thing about doing art on video. Now we do need one more piece. So we have our big piece with the little nose on it, but we need something to tuck our little nose into. So you might have some leftover piece of your box. You might have a leftover piece of a flap. I think I'm going to cut off this flap because it doesn't have, there, I like this. You're going to want to make a strap. See in this earbud holder how that little nose tucks into that strap right there? We need to make a little strap. So our strap is not going to be quite as wide as here, just a little bit less. So I think I'm going to lay my piece on there, and I'm just going to fold it so I know where to cut. And I've cut myself a little strap. So we have two pieces, our big rectangle with the nose and our little strap. Now comes the fun part. Now we're just going to decorate. And we can decorate this any old way we want. I think for this one, so you can see on my other pieces, on this one, I did some interesting flowers. On this one, I just did some stripes, or just did some squares with stripes in it. I think for this one, what should I do? I think I'm just gonna do just a pattern, just some different stripes. So you can take your Sharpie and you can do anything you want. I think on mine, I am just gonna do some different stripes going all the way across. And then I'm gonna do some designs, some simple designs on the inside, maybe some circles on this one, maybe a squiggle on this one, maybe some dashes on this one. Guess what? We're practicing different ways to do lines. Maybe I'm going to do a big zigzag and little zigzags and big zigzag and little zigzags and big zigzag. You can really do anything that you want. I'm going to keep decorating mine, and why don't you get out your markers and you can start doing a design on yours. Maybe you want to do different shapes. Maybe you want to do flowers. Maybe you like ice cream cones or unicorns or Minecraft characters. Whatever you want to draw on yours, take some time, draw your designs, and then you can color them in. So I'm going to work on mine, and you can work on yours, and then we'll come back together in just a little bit. We want to color our little strap too, and you can do that any way you want. think for mine, I'm going to write my name on mine so that my family knows that these are my earbuds. Okay, so we have our whole thing colored. I don't know how you colored yours, but I did mine in these fun, colorful stripes. And then I did my extra little tab with my name on it. Now, we have to make this work, because right now, this is not going to hold our earbuds. Let's look at how this is shaped. So, it's folded in 3 parts. Notice that this one is about a finger wide, and these are about 3 fingers wide. So I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to put 3 fingers here. If you want to use your ruler, you could measure that. That's about 2 inches. So I'm going to take my ruler, and I'm going to put it so the 2 is on the end of my box. Now notice, I have the packaging side of the box facing up. So you can see that my 2 is there, and using your ruler makes this really quite easy. I'm going to take it and I'm going to fold it just like that. Let's see. So when I fold it right where that 2 was, I end up with some leftover up here. Now I can fold this flap right over the top. Look at that. So we have the inside and we have the top. Now that's not going to hold our earbuds shut. We need to add our little extra flap. So that's where this piece comes in. I'm going to figure out where I want this to go. Now here's a tip. Don't push this all the way up to the top of there, because then it's hard to get the little tab to go in the flap. You want to push it so that you want to put it someplace right there towards the bottom. So let me practice. Let's see. I'm going to hold this with my finger, open this, and then see if I can slide it back in. Yeah, I think that's about a good spot. So I'm going to put my Mrs. B right there. I'm going to open this up, and that's where I'm going to get my tape out. You're going to want to take a nice long... Actually, you're not going to want to take a nice long piece of tape. Never mind. Don't listen to me. You're going to take 2 pieces of tape that are kind of short. I'm going to take this piece, and you're going to tape down one side. Now look what I've got. Can you see how I've got some tape hanging off the edge right here? I'm going to wrap that around the edge of my earbud holder. Then I'm going to do something silly. I'm going to take my thumbnail, and I am going to press and press and press and press and press and rub and rub and rub and rub and rub. And see how that makes the tape disappear? It makes the cloudiness go away. It also just makes the tape stick really nicely. You can even flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. Then let's do the same thing over here. We're going to take move that up a little bit. I'm going to take a piece of tape. Going to put it on the edge of my extra tab right there of my holder. I'm going to fold the tape around, and then I'm going to take my fingernail. You can use whatever you want. If you don't have fingernails, you could take your ruler and you can press on it with your ruler. We just want to get that tape to stick nice and tight. Alrighty, so what happens here? When I fold this, I'm going to slide that inside, and I'm going to get my little case. And here's how it works. Let me take them out of here. This one's holding them so nicely. So here's how you do it. Let me unravel these. Okay, let's pretend you're done with your learning for the day and you have this big pile of earbuds. And you think, I should just throw these in a pile. No, I'm not going to throw them in a pile. I'm going to put them in my earbud holder. So you open up your earbud holder. You take this part and just set it inside. And then you're gonna just wrap it around and around and around. Look at this. This is why we need earbud holders, because I just got mine all tangled up. Do you do that? This way we won't have to spend our whole life untangling our earbuds or trying to find where we stuck them. Let's get this all untangled. All right. So I'm gonna keep wrapping around and around and around and around. Gonna tuck this little guy in right here and then put my tab like that. Now, somehow I got a little knot in mine, I think, so it didn't wrap just exactly right. But I can adjust that. But now I know where my earbuds are. They're not tangled up. I can put them in, if I have a basket for my work, I can put them in my backpack. I can put them anywhere I want, and I've got a nice little place for my earbuds. All right, so press pause on the video again, and then we're gonna gather a few more things for our bonus project of the week. For this project, you can either get a glass jar, an old plastic container, like this is a yogurt container, but you can really use anything, or an empty tin can. The only thing with a can is that you want to make sure that the top of your can isn't sharp. My can opener opens mine so that there's no sharp edge. So if your cans are sharp, do not use one. We want to use something that's kind of big and round, but not sharp. Okay, so you probably made a super cool earbud holder, just like mine, and now you're ready for the bonus video. And in this one, we're gonna make, where did mine go? Oh, here it is. We're gonna make pencil holders. And this is a project that everybody's is gonna look really different. Each person's is gonna be unique, and it's just a fun way to keep track of your stuff. So you can use, again, a tin can. You can use an old yogurt container or a margarine container, something like that. Or you can even use an old jar, maybe from some pasta sauce or something like that. And here's the basic thing that you can do. You can take, remember how we used like magazine scraps and old newspapers? You can take anything like that. You can take old coloring book pages that maybe you've done. You can draw pictures and cut them out. You can find magazine pictures, anything you want, old fast food bags, napkins. Sometimes we can use pretty napkins, any kind of paper that you want. You're gonna take that, cut it into shapes, and just glue it right on with your glue stick. So for this one, I put glue on my whole tin can and I wrapped it with newspaper. And then I had an art project that I was working on and I didn't really like how it turned out. And so I just cut it into strips and I glued the strips right onto the tin can. And then it looked kind of okay, but I decided I wanted to add some more detail. And so I did some dashes, some lines to outline my stripes. And then I cut out some circles. You can see those are just straight from a newspaper ad. They're just some red circles because I thought that that made that look fun. So I'm going to work on a couple of ideas on my glass jar and on my yogurt jar, but this isn't one of those art projects where you really need to follow step-by-step instructions. This is where you just need permission to play, where you can take anything you want, glue it onto one of these, and make it your own. So join me as I create mine. I'm going to make a couple of different ones, and maybe that'll give you some ideas for how to make your own pencil holder too. Okay guys, here's my finished product. You can see, I'm gonna hold it up for you a little bit, that after I glued it on, I decided I wanted a little more detail. And you know how I feel about outlining in Sharpie. I think it makes everything better. So I went back and I outlined a few things in Sharpie and added just a few little extra dots, but that's all. So you can do whatever you want. You could cut out letters and do your name. Maybe you need a place to store Legos or hair ties. Maybe you don't even need a place to store your markers and pencils. But as long as you have trash and a few art supplies, you can make so many neat things. The thing about this week's video is that yes, we had the earbud holder where you could follow the directions, but then with this one, I want you to use your imaginations. You don't need to follow along on a video. You just need to go and make stuff. So make all sorts of things out of things you find out around your house. And then take a picture of them and send them to your teacher so she can send them to me, because I would love to see how we're all drawing together, even when we're apart. I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.